See what happens to folks when they get discouraged? The debilitation sets in. What do you mean by debilitated, Reverend? It means that their energy goes down. Stuff they used to be excited about doing, they ain't as excited anymore. And if ain't nobody there encouraging them and telling them, come on, Reverend, we can keep on doing it, you'll just kind of slide into that thing. And if don't nobody say nothing or don't nobody notice, next thing you know, you sitting down. Then Satan get the line to you. You know, ain't nobody working but you. You can't carry it by yourself. Or the famous one, let somebody else do it. See, it gets rough sometimes, and folk then begin to settle for considerably less than what they should be settling for. And see, and the reasons for discouragement are quite evident. See, first of all, you get discouraged when you get repetitive problems with folks in authority. Well, what are you talking about, preacher? Well, see, the prophet Ezra in the 5th chapter, verses 1 through 7, talked about all of the political ramifications that Zerubbabel had to go through. See, he was the governor that was in charge of getting everything going. And every now and then, you know how folk get when you're in charge, there's some folk always complaining because they didn't get it their way. And if you're not careful, you get so bogged down in the minutia that you forget the big picture. Then you got folk jockeying for a position because they really want to sit in your chair. And they doing everything they can to undermine you. Y'all know, you got some of them co-workers that they don't want to see you prosper, so they'll throw stumbling blocks in your way. They don't care if the whole unit go down. They just want you to look bad. It gets discouraging. You get up and say, why even bother to come up in here? If you ain't careful, the next thing you know, you put a calendar on the wall and start marking the days until you can retire. Somebody, I got a witness in here somewhere. The other things that can be discouraging is the remembrance of former glory. It can be discouraging. I'm quite sure that some of you all who came home for homecoming got a little discouraged when you went in downtown Tuskegee and you remember what it used to look like. How about it, Brother Weeks? You remember what it used to look like, and it don't look like it used to look. You can get discouraged when you look around and say, I remember a time there was 5 car dealerships in Tuskegee, and we ain't got that now. You can get discouraged when you see the sign saying shop Tuskegee first, and then somebody told me yesterday where they gonna shop. Come on now, y'all know what I'm talking about. It gets discouraging when you drive down the road to Auburn. It seems like they got everything, and we ain't got nothing. You get discouraged. Oh, sure, you're right. It gets discouraging, but we can't get focused on the former glory. You see, Israel couldn't get the temple built because folks was talking about, this ain't like the one Solomon had. That was a good-looking temple that Solomon built. This a mess we building here. I don't even know why we even bother. It ain't gonna never be like the one that was torn down. Then on the other side of the coin, these were the same people that heard Ezekiel prophesying about this beautiful temple where the river of life flows out of the temple. This temple, this city where the streets were paved with gold. He was talking about that temple that Jesus is going to sit in. But they got the clock mixed up. And they couldn't understand why come we ain't got it right now. See, some of us, we look beyond where God wants us to see. Yeah, he'll let you see what the end game gonna be, but that don't necessarily mean you're supposed to be the one to take it there. Everybody talk about Cam Newton, bless his heart, wonderful ball player. But he ain't the only one that can find the end zone. He ain't supposed to find the end zone I'm glad when he does, but he ain't supposed to find it every play. That's why they call it a team. Ain't no I in team. Leave that alone, let me move on. Then some folk get discouraged when they recognize that their expectations may not get met. I was kind of hoping it's going to be like this, but it ended up like that. You know, this wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Then let me just sit down. You know, that's one thing. I want to talk to young folk. I want to talk about that young generation, them folk 25 and under. One of the ways we have handicapped you all is that y'all think that you're supposed to live like we live right out the bat. We ruined them, y'all. They figure they're supposed to get out of college, get a big house, ride nice, dress nice, have everything they want, and don't realize that we didn't get that overnight. It took me some years before I could go to my savings account and have a few dollars there. It took me a while of patching on hoopty mobiles before I could ride in something nice. You don't get it right now. And some of y'all have gotten discouraged by the fact that you didn't get it right now. I got a degree. And you done found out there are a whole bunch of folk out there with degrees who are unemployed. On behalf of your parents, your grandparents, big mama, auntie, and all of them, I apologize. Because we sold you a bill of goods. But now let's get the reality right. You got to plug in there and do the work. Little parenthetical note there. And then, you know, this is something that we struggle with here in Tuskegee. The realization that the problem ain't going to be solved overnight. Everybody talking about the president's policies being repudiated because the Republicans swept the House. And oh, this was a mandate from the people. No, there were a bunch of folk who did not understand that had he not stepped in to do what he did, that we'd have been out there selling apples on the street and eating from soup kitchens, because a whole bunch of teachers and police would have been unemployed. And if you think they're breaking in around here now, they'd have been breaking in all over the place. Nobody wanted to look at him trying to stop the hemorrhaging. They want to worry about what the scar going to look like. Stop the bleeding. We'll deal with the scar later. I'm almost finished. See, even in the season of famine, when the rain comes, the crop's still going to take a while to come in. See, discouragement can be debilitating. But the good news is that encouragement can be empowering. Well, what are you saying, preacher? Well, notice what God says here in this. In verses 4 and 5 of this text, I want to go back to the text and take it right from the Bible here. Verses 4 and 5. But now take courage, Zerubbabel, declares the Lord. Take courage also, Joshua, the son of Jehozadak, the high priest, and all you people of the land, take courage, declares the Lord, and work, for I am with you, declares the Lord of hosts. In verse 5, as for the promise which I made to you when you came out of Egypt, my spirit is abiding in your midst. Do not fear. All right. See, every now and then we just got to stop and say, you know something? God is with me. I don't care what you do to me, what you say about me, whatever trap you set for me, God is with me. He ain't going to let no more happen to me than he wants to happen to me, because God is with me. Now, please, I'm not saying I got an exclusive lock on God, because if you've washed your robe in the blood of the Lamb, guess what? He with you too. Yeah, I know you've been through a rough time. I know that you didn't like the report that the doctor gave you, but please understand, whatever has come against your body, it'll go no farther than God allowed it, because God is with you. I don't care how rough your situation may be, no matter what you're struggling with, you can take comfort in knowing that the Lord will never leave me or forsake me. Job didn't understand why he had to go through what he went through. He sat there on the dung heap, scraping his sores with a broken piece of pottery. His friend sitting there said, Job, fess up and die.